So let us understand the bigger picture. So how did it start? Why did the field of data science actually come into existence? To answer it in a very simple line, I would say it all starts with decision making and business strategy. So in the early era, like the early 1900s, 1900 to 1950, that was a time when majority of the industries, organizations lacked the digital infrastructure for obvious reasons. So historically, business strategies and decisions were backed by intuitions, experiences, and heuristics. Research was very limited. The reason for research being very limited is because research was actually very expensive. We'll try to illustrate this entire concept in this simple graph. The y-axis over here is actually an indicator of data-driven decisions maturity. What is the maturity of data-driven decisions? And the x-axis over here is a timeline of till the present day. So before digitization can be termed as, let's say, 1900 to 1960 or 1970. 1970 was the time when digital adoption slowly came into existence. And then till around 95 to 98 or probably early 2000, that was the time when most of the enterprises embraced the digital adoption. Post that, I would say till the present day, like the last 15-20 years, is a time when we have a data explosion. Like vast volumes of data have been collected, computing power is more cost effective, and so on. So we are presently over here. This is the last 20 years, or probably 25 years. This is around 1975 to 1995, around 20 years. And this is the era before that. So as time evolved, digital adoption was in place and data was readily available. And naturally, a field, business intelligence, that was born. So what happens over here is there's an organization, they want to take a new business decision or probably a new strategy for probably a defined outcome. So let's say they want to increase their revenue. So how do they increase their revenue? They'll have a couple of business questions and they need answers to those questions. That's when you have intuitions, experiences, heuristics in place. So the early era primarily primarily depended on heuristics and experiences. Research was very expensive over here. You have to literally go through the numbers manually, calculate them. There's a lot of man hours required over here. Labor was intensive and expensive. So the kind of decisions taken from data were very limited. Then came a time when we could actually use computers and digital data was really available. That's when business intelligence reports came into picture. So you have business questions, you need answers to business questions. You have reports, you have programs that have been written, which can actually extract data, process data, and transform data into insights. Now this process was fairly simple because the kind of, or the volume of data which we had in this era was also small. Like if you compare the data with the size of data which we have today, this would almost be zero. Then came a time where the volume of data increased. So when the volume of data increased, the kind of answers that you could actually get also increased, or also the quality of the answers also increased. So, and this process of getting insights from data is very addictive. Like the moment you have answered one of the questions, there are probably a couple of more follow-up questions. This is a very addictive process. So business started depending on data heavily. So this transition, that is from BI first generation to second generation, and then eventually to the third generation, the present day's artificial intelligence, actually happened very fast. And the process actually became very complex. That's when data science was born. So BI was actually in place for a couple of decades. And the process was very straightforward. You had sufficient amount of data. There was a structured approach to approach that data, use the data for generating insights, and so on. But as data exploded in the present day, the process of extracting insights from data is a fairly complex process, and we can't just rely on the traditional methods that we used. And today, we just don't have data-driven decisions. We actually build data products. And that's when the entire field of data science came into picture. So to formally define, I would say data science is that art which deals with the complex process of deriving insights from data. When you compare the present day's complexity with around the complexity around 20 years back, There's a huge difference. And that difference was primarily driven by the volume and the availability of data. So the takeaway from this slide, because the bigger picture, we would say that data science as a field all started with decision making and business strategy. You have questions, you need answers, and that's a very addictive game. In that process, you try to capture more and more data, and you try to and the organizations present at that point of time try to extract more and more insights from the available data. And that process, the entire process got complicated. That's when a new field in itself was born. And that is what we call today data science. So, data science, I would say, is an umbrella to all the terms that we have heard till now, like machine learning, artificial intelligence, data analysis, all of them, and in fact, even business intelligence. All of these terms can be combined together to form a larger umbrella called data science. Let's move on.